Major Heather Alexander. She is a native of Yates County, raised in Middlesex. Her parents, Donna and Bert Alexander, still reside there. She's a member of the Penn American Legion and our local VFW. She graduated from Marcus Whitman High School, received her Bachelor of Science degree in Mathematics and Biology from Norwich University, and on her graduation day from college, she was commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. She then received her Master of Science degree in Psychology from the University of Illinois. Major Alexander currently serves as an Air Force Special Operations Command Aerospace Physiologist and Flight Safety Officer. She has spent the last 17 years serving in various capacities, including risk education, training fighter and aircraft personnel regarding safety and understanding of high gravity effects. She was the Aeromedical Safety Officer at Nellis Air Force Base as Chief of Safety and Flight Safety. Currently, she serves as Chief Human Factor and Flight Safety at Hurlburt Field, Florida, where she is responsible for mishap prevention and human factors related initiatives in flight, ground and weapon safety. Her command level impacts over 19,000 personnel and various types of aircraft. Beginning this June, Major Alexander will be assigned to the Air Force Central Command and 9th Air Force Safety Directorate at Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina, where she will be responsible for safety programs within the command's area of responsibility, which is the Middle East. Major Alexander is the recipient of numerous awards and decorations and has been deployed to Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. Her many accomplishments and dedicated service has made her eligible for promotion to Lieutenant Colonel this August. Major Alexander is one of Yates County's own. We are very proud to have her with us today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Major Heather Alexander.
Thank you, members of VFW Post 745 and American Legion Post number 355 for inviting me here today. It is without question a distinct privilege. I have to admit being humbled at the opportunity because for all Americans, and in particular those who have served, Memorial Day is the day we honor our heroes. To begin, I would like for all of us to consider the following by Sylvia Moore. This weekend, I'm going to do something different. I will pray for our country and all who served or have served, for their families who also served by losing precious days, weeks, and months spent with their loved ones who are serving, preserving peace and the freedom we have in this country. I'll pray for the families who paid the ultimate price, whose loved ones died or were taken captive and never returned. I'll pray for anyone who may still be held in captivity and thinks that they are forgotten. I do not forget. How wonderful it would be if all Americans took a few moments to follow this example. And that is what, in our small way, we are trying to do today. If I may beg your indulgence for a moment, though, I would like to introduce three men who embody what we are here today to honor. Captain Todd Bracey, U.S. Air Force, was a quiet classmate of mine from Murfreesboro, Illinois. While we were in school, he never showed particular interest in being an Air Force officer. However, after graduation, he joined and ended up flying the Talon II for Air Force Special Ops. Ensign Graham Higgins, U.S. Navy, was one of my cadre and a connoisseur of the rock band Guns N' Roses. While I still like the song Welcome to the Jungle, it also makes me cringe at the thought of morning runs in the invigorating Vermont air. Graham would turn his speakers to the wall between our rooms and blast that song at 04:30 to wake his freshmen before PT. Captain Rob Soltis, U.S. Army, was 2 years ahead of me in school and a fellow biology major. My roommate and I had the worst crush on him, and he was really cute and a wonderful diversion from botany and histology slides. Todd died in Albania, training for Air Force Special Ops in Europe. Graham was killed living his dream of flying F-18s. Rob was killed in Iraq in a roadside bomb while serving as a civil affairs officer. They each volunteered to serve, and they paid the supreme sacrifice. As we join together here today, we are joining together with Americans all over this country and in far reaches of the world to honor the best in them and the best in each of us. My classmates individually were not necessarily heroes, and more to the point, would likely be annoyed hearing themselves described as such. They are no different from the men and women out there doing the mission today. In reality, there is nothing different about the men and women in uniform now than the men and women who have served before. Often I'm asked, why did you join the Air Force? My first answer is often a quippy, because my father told me not to join the Army. But that's way too easy. Joining, or in some cases being invited to join, is much like finding home. Obviously, there are people from all walks of life in the military, but they also are very similar, no matter what part of the country they come from. The struggle to become part of the whole, the team. The desire to contribute and be found valuable and important is the same. The pride and sense of honor is the same. And eventually, the sense of family and community is the same. I find this quote by Chaplain Lance Kettleson from his book, Meditations from Iraq, much more eloquent than most observations. And the chaplain realizes that this young soldier's greatest fear is not his own death, but the fear of letting down his teammates. The greatest fear they experience is not their own wounding or demise, but of letting down those whose lives depend upon them, letting down those who trust them to do their part. Greater love has no one than to lay down his life for his friends. That is a very dramatic realization for anyone of any age to come to. However, self-sacrifice is not a trait unique to the great heroes that live in our history books. I put forth that instead, this is a trait bred and built upon in the small towns all across this country. There is something about coming from Middlesex, or Italy Hill, or Branchport, or Penn that teaches you at an early age that you must rely on your neighbor, and that as a neighbor, a member of the community, the team, you have an obligation to your fellow man. Certainly there are great American patriots that have come from the big cities, but I believe it is small-town America that is the heart of the military, and the heart drives the whole. In my office, I work with people from North Carolina, Utah, Iowa, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Washington, Mississippi, and Ohio. Yet we all believe in the promise and beauty that is America, that this country is worth the supreme sacrifice. Today's soldiers, airmen, sailors, airmen, and Marines are carrying on a proud tradition established by those who went before. Today, across this country, Americans like you and me are gathering in the county square, wearing our poppies and honoring those who gave their all. They are our heroes. I believe in the idea that we are never really gone as long as someone remembers us. Well, we remember. We remember those at Gettysburg and Flanders, those that flew the missions over Europe, slogged through the islands of the Pacific, froze in Korea, endured the jungles of Vietnam and blistering heat of Iraq. Today, American towns are remembering and honoring these men and women. These towns are where all the Todds, Grahams, and Robs came from. Today, the next hero who says, "Not on my watch will my friends be hurt or my country and way of life threatened," is standing among us. He or she doesn't know it yet and will never consider themselves a hero. Memorial Day. Today is the day we remember and honor those men and women who never thought of themselves as heroes. Perhaps General George S. Patton Jr. said it best. It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived. Thank you, God, for our heroes, and God bless America.
Who says small towns don't have what it takes? What about that?